Всем привет, с вами Изабелла Ritz и Amazon Made Simple подкаст. Сегодня у меня в гостях девушка, которая начала свой бизнес на Amazon во время ковида, во время пандемик, и она сначала пошла сильно вверх, а потом дропнула свои sales вниз. Давайте узнаем, как она это сделала и что она придумала после того, как у нее оказалось 0 sales на ее аккаунте. Встречайте Shan Shan Fu на моем аккаунте. Поехали!
Hello guys, and here is Izabella Ritz with Ritz Momentum and Amazon Made Simple podcast. And today I'm interviewing the amazing lady who is actually Amazon seller. So she's not going to tell you about how to use one tool or another. Today she's going to share her Amazon seller expertise because she's been selling on Amazon for a while. She's a 7-figure or 8-figure seller, so she will confirm us with the number. And she created a brand that is actually pretty cute and fun. And why I liked her approach a lot, because she did something that is based on the customization. And we're going to ask her today how she actually did it, because, you know, when Ritz Momentum is developing different type of products, we always focus on the custom, on the reverse engineering, and how to make sure your product is going to be sold on Amazon. And welcome, Shan Shan Fu, to my podcast, Amazon Made Simple.
Thank you, Izabella. I'm excited to talk to you.
So let us know a little bit about your background. How did you start Amazon? Why Amazon? Or it was the e-commerce in general, and then you started Amazon. So give us a little bit more information about it.
Yeah, so I've been working in tech sales for 10 years.
Okay.
And I started noticing that the best thing to do would be to start building passive income. And I became obsessed with the idea of building passive income because, you know, one day I want to have a family, and when you are a mom and you have kids running around, it's really hard to work full time. And most companies, you know, when you work very hard and you get promoted, the promotion makes you work harder because now you have a bigger title and more responsibility. Whereas I wanted the opposite. I wanted a life where I work really hard now so that in the future I can work less hard.
Makes sense. So the main approach to start the business is to have the passive income.
Exactly, yes.
So what made you confident that Amazon and e-commerce is actually passive income and you don't have to do anything to push this business and develop this business and grow this business, so it will be actually passive? So your expectations when you launched the business and right now, do you feel any difference that, like, yeah, I wanted it to be passive and it's actually passive, or you've been thinking that it's going to be passive but it's actually passive aggressive?
So, I mean, it kind of happened as a fluke in a way, because I wanted to do passive income, but I didn't know what product to sell. And my family works in import-export. So I grew up in rural China, where there's like no plumbing, no electricity, and there's a lot of opportunities there for the actual product. I just didn't know what it was that I should sell. And then 2020 rolled around, the pandemic, and I realized that all my friends didn't have face masks, and definitely not good-looking ones. And there was a huge gap in the market. So I was able to get some really cool, good-looking face mask products over the United States really quick by April 2020, just when the pandemic started. And yeah, it was a lot of work. I had a full-time job still at the time. So I would work from 9 to 5 at my full-time tech sales job, and then from 5 to midnight at my Amazon business. But it's fun. Warren Buffett has this really amazing line that I love. He said, find your job that's like a form of play. And that's what I feel like. Yeah, it's a career, it's a job, but it's really just a form of play. So it is harder work, and it's definitely not passive right now, but it's fun.
Okay, well, Amazon slogan is work hard, play hard, make history. So yeah, it is fun. I agree totally with you here. So I was looking at your website and I found that you definitely have a variety of masks. Of course, my
Yes.
question is how those masks are doing today. Like, are they still selling? Are people still buying them, or like the trends already went down and generally speaking, you lost the sales?
They basically crashed. So in 2020, they were exploding.
Of
And I
course.
got Amazon rankings in 2 weeks from barely even trying, really. Second year, 2021, it just kept going down, but it's still selling. And then 2022, it really went, almost to zero. So what I had to do is I had to find my second niche. And instead of getting the help that, the pandemic did, giving all e-commerce companies a boost, and face masks in particular, basically had to start from scratch and figure out what it is that I could sell that customers want. And I decided to do women's accessories and clothing.
And I saw you launch some tights.
Yes, tights and socks are some of the products we sell the most.
Are those your leading products, or those products you just launched and they're working? Just tell us more about how you launched the tights, why you decided to customize them on the way how they're being customized right now, and why you picked those designs. Like, did you do any focus groups? Did you ask your audience if they will like it or not, or you just launched it because you wanted to?
Yeah, I did do research. So part of it, half of it is probably I looked at things I like. And being a woman, we tend to have an eye for fashion because we're interested in it. And then the other half was me going to Helium and searching the keyword and seeing if there was a good gap, high demand, low competition. Also checking Amazon itself and checking, what's already out there. And Helium tells you exactly what the sales are for other companies. So you can kind of see, what are some big sellers. And then using all that data and my own personal judgment, trying to build products and designs I think will sell.
So all this tights with the bows and like with the smile and emojis that you created, they are based on your personal opinion. You did not test the market prior to launch.
I kind of did. So a trick I use is I went on Etsy.com and I launched the product with very tiny amounts of quantities. So like 20 to 50 units. And I would look at the performance of Etsy because Etsy doesn't require the heavy advertising spend that Amazon does to get ranking. Etsy will give you some ranking off the bat. And it doesn't even require a barcode, right? Etsy, you could just launch like in 5 minutes, just with a picture and some text, and that's good enough. And that data is the data that I needed to then actually do the Amazon launch because it's a much bigger investment. And I find the 20-80 rule is very accurate. 20% of, especially clothing, 20% of the product would be 80% of sales. So there's no point even trying to launch the other 80% if they don't succeed on Etsy.
Correct. And how you've been ranking your products on Etsy? Just with the PPC that Etsy is providing? Because to my knowledge, Etsy PPC is like pretty weak. I'm not selling on Etsy. We have some customers that are coming out to us from Etsy, and we like help them to rank and launch their products on Amazon. However, to my knowledge, Etsy still have some different approach like that Amazon had in the past.
Yeah, Etsy is very weak in advertising. You can't control anything. You basically can turn on or off for a product. And then Etsy decides what keywords that they run for. It's okay for text though. For text, that's okay because when you do that, you kind of get a list of keywords that you could start with on Amazon. But it's definitely not as full service as Amazon is. It's just cheaper and it's quicker.
Okay.
And that's the good thing. And in some categories, especially clothing, the average Etsy customer performs similar to the average Amazon customer. So if an Etsy customer hates this product, Amazon customers also tend to hate the same product. So,
yeah, because the targeted audience pretty much is similar. So it's pretty hard to divide. Like if your target audience is there, if you learn your target audience, they will buy on both platforms as long as you're selling on one of them. So when you identified that like 20% of the products are actually being driven by your audience, so you launched those products on Amazon. How many items you bought, how many sizes you got, or it's a one size? So like how your launch process started, how did it go, how long time it took you to rank the product, and what instruments you've been using to rank your product on a page one on Amazon, and how your sales are doing right now?
Yeah, so for some of my products, like socks, it's a little bit easier because you don't have to have a lot of sizes. And when you do have a size, it's very objective. Like if you're size 9 feet, you're definitely size 9 feet, right? But I also tried to launch lingerie and dresses. And that was much tougher because you can order large from a factory. It shows up and it's extra small. Or a customer buys it, they think that they're large. They put it on and then they decide that they're actually small or they're an extra large. So it's very subjective. And because of that, I had to quit lingerie and dresses because sizing caused 30% to 50% return rate. So
and your listing got suspended.
It didn't get suspended, thankfully, because the reviews were good, but it wasn't even profitable because of all the returns. And I think Amazon's even used to clothing being high returns, so they're not even surprised. They're like, yeah, it's 30%. That's average.
Yeah, in apparel it's a little bit different because in apparel people are wearing and then they're returning. So it's not like with the regular products when you have up to 1% return and refunds, and then Amazon is like, okay, your listing is suspended. With apparel it's a little bit different. So and what after you quit on those products, like what happened with others?
Yeah, but some of the products succeeded. So that was what the beauty of Etsy was for. So the lingerie and the dresses were the 80% that failed, but the 20% that succeeded were some of the socks, some of the tights, things that have more objective sizing.
Okay. So, and I don't want to dig deeper. Like, did you put the chart? Did people use the chart? Because I believe you did. People just didn't want to read it attentively, which is like happen pretty often, correct?
Yeah, I tried to use the charts for some of the products. It did help. It did help. But other products, I think it might have been my fault. Honestly, I just didn't put a chart up. I just, I wrote it in the bullet points. I was like, oh, they'll read it, but they didn't.
Okay,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, so it's actually my fault that I didn't put a chart. A chart did help.
Yeah, chart would help because usually when the chart is on a listing, it helps a lot, especially like you have to be based on your waist, on your hips, or whatever it's important for your specific product. And then generally speaking, your customers are not returning because it's been there, so they've been able to measure themselves. Anyway, how did you do with are you still selling socks and tights on Amazon, and how you've been able to rank them, because the niche is super saturated, so it's not like it's empty, no competitors, nothing.
Yeah, it's doing good. And October is actually the #1 month for tights. It's not December, surprisingly. I think it's because of Halloween.
Because of the Halloween and because the fall?
Yeah, because the fall. So right now it's doing great. And we'll see how it goes. It's quite new. I just launched about a year ago. So October is actually the best month for tights because of, I think, Halloween. And because of the fall is a good time. So tights are doing really good right now. And I think that tights and socks and clothing, there's still lots of opportunity, but because while it is saturated, there's opportunity for design. So if you can come up with a better design than anyone else, you can still sell it, just like t-shirts, right? People will buy t-shirts forever. And yeah, it's saturated, but you can come up with a unique design. So that's what I'm trying to do, is enter a saturated market with great design.
I love it because, again, as I mentioned before, we are very passionate about designs, and we're very passionate about audience, what they want to buy, and how you're choosing the design, how you're coming up with an idea of the design.
So for me, I am really, one is definitely keyword research.
Okay.
Two is, and the keyword research may not be very specific, but it kind of gives you an idea what people are searching on. And then from there, then you really just browse. And the nice thing is, if you're interested in fashion and you enjoy browsing about fashion, then you can look at what's selling in the market and you can really get a good sense of what people like. Just with Google, just with looking at online at other stores, magazines, what kids are wearing in TikTok. So it's really just browsing and kind of also looking at Amazon sellers, right? What are other Amazon sellers doing? What are some of the best, designs that are doing really well? And then you kind of get an idea of what people love.
Wonderful. Do you have any tips how to rank the very, very competitive products on Amazon?
I am very conservative. I don't spend a ton on ad spend. I spend very little. And to make that work, I have to really shoot for very specific keywords. So if you shoot for socks or even cute socks, it's going to take a very long time to rank. But if you shoot for, extremely specific keywords, kawaii socks with pink bow, then it'll be easier to rank. And then you just fall up from there. So start with the really easy, rare keywords, then go to something a little bit harder and a little bit harder. And it's going to take possibly a long time. Sometimes it takes me months, sometimes it takes me a year to get good ranking for a product. But in this method, I find that I don't waste a lot of ad spend.
And do you have any target of sales? How many sales do you want to get within like a month after you launch the product? What does your target go for like a year? Because you mentioned that you are very conservative and you are doing it slowly. So how you're managing the target of sales?
Yeah. So when you're conservative, you also have to have lower expectations. So, whenever I launch a product, I don't need to make huge profit right away. I'm really don't have any sales targets. What I look for is metrics. So for example, on Etsy, I only launch a product on Amazon if the click-through rate is better than 0.8%. Then I only, and I look at other metrics. Then the next metric is conversion rate. It needs to be better than 2%, but actually preferably 3 to 4%. And then the add to cart rate, I want it to be at least 4 to 8%. So in your category, you have to figure out what your metrics are that shows that it's a top 20% seller. And that's the numbers I decided for my category and my demographic. And if a product is healthy within all of those stats, getting good reviews, hitting all those stats, then I just keep investing and I keep buying more. I don't worry too much about sales and profits because eventually I think it will make money.
Wonderful. And last question, what platform except Etsy do you use to sell your products?
Another one is Walmart and Poshmark and Shopify.
Okay.
So Walmart is very similar to Amazon. and Etsy, the customers are very similar. Walmart also gives you a bit of an algorithm push without spending PPC, but it's just very low volume. You know, I think the average Amazon seller sells a tenth of what they sell on Amazon and Walmart, if that, maybe even less. But it is a good place to diversify. I think they're trying to make it grow into more of an Amazon. And then Poshmark is it's a fashion app to sell, used clothing, but you can also use it to sell new clothing. And it also has a lot of very engaged fans that will go through your account and like all the pictures. And from that, it's not going to sell a lot, but you can see which products are liked the most or engaged with the most. So it's also good for testing. And then Shopify is what I use really to collect sales from, say, press. I was recently on CNBC and New York Times, and also from influencers, because I learned that if you send a lot of traffic into your Etsy store from, an influencer or press, and they don't convert at a normal rate, like 2% or higher, then Etsy will push you down in ranking. That's really bad. And
same with Amazon.
So anyone coming from press influencers is not really converted well. So I make sure to drive that towards my Shopify store.
Wonderful. And I think that will be the very last question. So you mentioned influencers. Where are you looking for the influencers, and how you want these influencers to advertise your product? So where your research starts, and what are usually conditions? What is the process to hire the influencer for your product?
So for influencers, it's a big challenge to find ones that actually sell. So for example, I found some amazing influencer women who wear tights, but 95% of their audience is men. So because they think, these women are beautiful. And that doesn't help with my sales, because men are just looking at it because the woman is beautiful and not because they want to buy tights. So it's very challenging. I've actually shifted my strategy from, instead of going for influencers to get sales, I use them to create beautiful images that I then post on my Amazon as user-generated content. That's fine that user-generated content does help with conversion. And I use, and that could be micro-influencers with only a few thousand followers. There's a great platform I use right now called the socialcast.com, which is a micro-influencer platform that was really easy to set up. The socialcast.com.
Okay, never heard about them.
Yeah.
Learning something every day.
Yeah, I think they're newer, but they send me micro-influencers, and I just use that to create user-generated content.
That's perfect. So thank you so much for answering all these questions, for being on my podcast. Guys, we're wrapping up, and I think it's a great experience to watch someone who's been launching in 2020 failed the product at the end, then launched another product, also failed, and found that only 20% of products are making 80% of revenue, which is absolutely reasonable and fair Pareto principle that works everywhere, generally speaking, in every single niche and prospect of your life. And if you have any questions, please drop them under this video. And Shan Shan Fu, how do you want us to find you, and how do you want us to ask you questions? And maybe you don't want to answer anyone, so please let us know if we can connect you somewhere in social media.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram if you search Millennials in Motion. So the handle is @MillennialsInMotion. Or you can email me. It's hello@millennialshops.com.
Wonderful. So we'll do that. And thank you for sharing your experience. It's amazing. And I'm always proud of girls who are launching their products, who are creating new business, who don't scare of anything. And like, okay, more than there can be a conservative. I thought you can be conservative only in life, but you can also be conservative with the sales. So guys, it's a new approach. Hope you learned something. And don't forget, subscribe, like, and do everything like within social media. You can also create your content about your products and share it with the brands that you've been buying from. But it's already another video that we're going to share with you how to do that in the future. Thank you, and talk to you soon.